and welcome to Math World. Today we're going to talk about arithmetic sequences. So a sequence is really just a list of numbers or a pattern that you see. So over here you can see we have the numbers 85, 88, 91, 94. That's a sequence. It's just a list of numbers. You can see sequences also sometimes in the form of these shapes. Look over on the right, you'll see these 3 circles, and then 5 circles, then 7 circles, and then 9 circles. That's also a sequence. So again, a sequence is just a list. Now, what makes it arithmetic? Arithmetic is kind of like linear. Let's go ahead and jot that down, that an arithmetic sequence is a linear sequence. And what we know about linear patterns is that they kind of always go up by the same amount or go down by the same amount. We learned earlier that they have a common difference, meaning that the difference between each number or list in the sequence is the same. It's a common difference. So if you look over here on the left, we can see that from 85 to 88, that's a difference of 3. And from 88 to 91, it's also 3. And from 91 to 94, 3. So the common difference for this sequence would be 3. For our pattern of circles, from 3 to 5, that has a difference of 2 circles. From 5 to 7, a difference of 2 circles. And from 7 to 9, still a difference of 2 circles. So this sequence would have a common difference of 2. That makes it an arithmetic sequence. If the differences were not the same, not common, it would be some other type of sequence. But today we're just going to talk about arithmetic sequences. Alright, the next thing we'll look at is the formula for arithmetic sequences. So while I could probably figure out the next number of the sequences after 94, it's probably another 3, so it would be 97. We want to use a formula that will tell us further out numbers in the sequence. Maybe not just let's see, we have right here, we have the first, second, third, fourth number. I could figure out the 5th number easily, but could I figure out the 20th number? And maybe I could sit here and count by 3s until I get to the 20th number, the 20th term, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come up with a formula that will instantly tell me what is the 20th term of this sequence. And that formula will look like this. It will say an arithmetic sequence, A, N, that means the N represents the number of the term I want, will equal A1, meaning the first term of the sequence, plus the common difference after it's been multiplied by N, that term that I want, minus 1. And it's a little tricky there, but let's see it in action. First, let's use it on what we know we could figure out. We know this 5th term is going to be, what, 97, right? Let's test out our formula. So in this case, we would say N5, meaning I want to know the 5th term, is going to equal A1. What's my first term, or my first number of the sequence? 85. So I'm going to plug in 85 right here, plus D, the common difference. We determined the common difference was 3, times N minus 1. N, again, is that term you're looking for. In this case, I said, what's the 5th term? So 5 minus 1. Now that I have all the numbers plugged in, let's go through the math. 85. Now I'm not going to add the 3 yet because the 3 has to get multiplied by the 5 minus 1. 5 minus 1 is 4, and 4 times 3 is 12. Then I can add the 85 and the 12, which makes 97. Hey, and we knew that this next term was going to be 97, didn't we? But again, the formula proved it. It worked, that the 5th term will be the first term plus the common difference times that term minus 1. So it works. What if we want to go further? All right, I don't want to know the 5th term. I do want to know the 20th term. So the question could say, what is the 20th term? And I'm not going to sit here and count by threes, 100, 103. I'm just going to jump right to the end using my new formula. So this time, let's say the 20th term. We'll say A20 equals the first term. Well, the first term is still 85, still the first number of the sequence, plus the common difference, which is still 3. After it's been multiplied by the term minus 1, and I said the term I want is 20, so this time we'll drop in 20 minus 1. Notice that the formula for this sequence here on the left, the first term is the same for both these problems, and the common difference is the same, because those don't change for this sequence. This sequence always starts at 85 and always moves by 3. The only thing that changes for the problem is the term I'm trying to find. I was trying to find the 5th term, now I'm trying to find the 20th term. So let's go ahead and plug in and evaluate this expression. Can't add 3 yet. I have to multiply it by 19 first. 3 times 19 will be 57. Now let's add that up. Let's see, 130 plus 12. I think that is 142. And we can use our calculator if we need to check and make sure it works. Actually, it doesn't look like I have my calculator running. But I'm pretty sure that's correct. 130 plus the 12. Yeah, it's 142. So that means that the 20th term of this sequence is 142. If I kept counting, it would have been 142. You can do the math yourself if you want to check and see. But so arithmetic sequences, again, are just a list of numbers, and we use this formula to figure out what future terms are of the sequence. I could do this to figure out the 100th term or even the 1000th term of the sequence. All right. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I'll see you in class. Hey class, it's Mr. Bigsby with a hat, and I got a challenge question for you. All right, you were able to do it with the numbers, that's great, but what about this pattern of circles? I want you to tell me what is the 20th term of this circle sequence. So if n, I'll give you a little hint here, if n was 20, not for this left-hand sequence, I don't care about that anymore. I want to know what's the 20th term of this circle sequence. Think about what we just learned. Leave your answer in the comments. Later. Now for a word from our sponsor, Paper Cut Games. This week's game, Dungeons and Dragons. Alright, so this is a very old game, and it's kind of different than most board games, but you may have heard of it. It's gotten pretty popular recently. But the cool thing about Dungeons and Dragons is that it's a social game. It's a game that you get together with your friends, and then you just like make things up and go on these adventures and have a lot of fun together. It's mostly about the fun aspect of the game, not so much strategy or even winning. Sometimes the games don't even end. So basically in Dungeons and Dragons, you have one person who's kind of like the creator of the game or the campaign. They're the dungeon master, and they create a little adventure. They create a storyline. And the other players, usually somewhere between 3 to 5 other players, are the characters, and they will they'll use a character sheet. I don't know if you can see this, but they'll create a character, and a lot of this is based on fantasy that you may have heard of, like being an elf or a wizard or a warrior. You choose a class and a race. You can even be a goblin or, a centaur or different types. You don't have to be a human. And the fun part of it is you just kind of like pretend to be this other character that's going on an adventure. And there's a lot more to it, so of course you'll have to get yourself, or one person would get a handbook that has all the rules and shows you how to play. But yeah, you just get together and you go on adventures. And you can see I've played a lot of these games with my brother and other people. I made a little picture of my character, and you just kind of collect notes. As you see, most of the game is on paper or just imaginary. I write down things that I collect. I get like potions and money and upgrades, and you level your character up and you go on these quests. and it's just a lot of fun to play with a friend, with your friends, and you guys can take turns of who's creating the adventure. You can do 1 weeks, you can do lots of weeks. Some games go on for years. I like Dungeons and Dragons so much that I even created a campaign with this book called Dungeons and Dragonites. It's a Pokemon themed Dungeons and Dragons. So you go into a world and there's actually Pokemon that come out in this game, and this is so you can see like I created it. It's a lot of stuff in here. It's more than just a board game. There's a whole lot to it. But these days, as you can see, you can get a starter set. There's little miniatures you can get. You don't have to have miniatures. There's other themes like here's Rick and Morty. And even the D&D alignment charts are pretty popular. You may have heard of lawful good and chaotic evil. So you use that to kind of decide like how you want your character to be. But it's just a really fun game to get together with friends. Check it out.